welcome to Something Awesome Podcast. I'm using my radio voice to tell you that I am here with Mike Masters and this beautiful Yeti mic that's somehow now trash.
Dude, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
We need to get a new microphone.
We need a new microphone. Yeti is now shit. Unless they sponsor us, then they're fantastic.
Well, it's Logitech now.
All right, Logitech.
Maybe they're better. Probably not. Anyway.
And I love Logitech, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Logitech whore.
So here's the thing. When I check out, because again, since we started this, I'm like, I wonder if we should get a new microphone. Maybe I'll look at a cheap interface and 2 XLRs and we can just set it up and do that and like have the fucking, we'll look real cool.
I got a table right there. We can put a mixer right there, hook it up to the computer, have 2 little stands here.
Yeah. And I was like, so I keep looking at that shit. So don't think I'm not, because I am.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I check and stuff, I was like, well, Logitech bought Yeti. Let's see. I wonder. And so like apparently the ones that have come out, the new ones that are Logitech Yeti by Logitech branded, are supposedly better than they have been in the past.
I don't know. I've been looking at the HyperX, the one with the lights.
Yeah.
Because that has fantastic sound. I know because most of my streamer friends have it.
Yeah, those ones are good too, and they're not expensive. They're inexpensive.
No, I think that one's like $120 on sale. Sorry, we're getting into shit you probably don't even want to hear about.
Housekeeping.
Yeah.
Housekeeping.
But we are here. Speaking of audio, to talk about music.
Hey, we brought it back around.
Yes. So I was listening to an album recently,
right?
And I was like, God, like I listened to the entire thing all the way through. I'm like, I fucking love this album. Like maybe I could put up a list of like my top 5 albums that I'll never skip. Songs that don't have a skip.
Yeah.
And then I brought that up to you.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's a good idea.
So he brought this up to me and again, we talked about this a few episodes ago. He talked about this to me while I was up at Big Bear for a friend's birthday.
That is true. You were up there.
And it was also enjoying some adult libations, let's say. So I already had a good buzz on, and he's like, "Oh, I just gotta," and it's a total Rick moment because it was completely out of context. He's like, I got my list ready of my top 5 albums. Top 5 albums list ready. And I was like, Rick, I'm drinking. I need context. And he's like, oh, sorry. Top 5 albums you can listen to without skipping any tracks. And I was like, oh, that's shit. Me. So I sat down. I was outside in pretty much the same thing, in shorts and a sweatshirt and a beanie, outside in 30-degree weather at Big Bear, but next to a fire pit. And I just start typing. And I was like, all right, I'm making my list too. And by the time I got left that weekend, I had a rough list of about 35
of course you did.
albums. Narrowed that down to 20. And then I put them all in order. So I do have a top 5.
Yeah. Music is something we bonded over, as we mentioned in past episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the thing we really like. I mean, besides video games and movies, but like, music was something that we talk about. And you always down that hill that the 90s had the best music of all time era.
That's an episode I want.
That could be an episode too. We didn't do that episode for some shit we liked,
no,
or did we?
We were
planning
going
on it.
to, and then fucking the global pancetta came and ruined that.
No, that was before that.
No, but I know, but we were getting ready,
moving our way
that.
to it. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so now that could be a thing. But yeah, so I brought that up, of course, me being all excited and forgetting context. Yeah.
Got my albums list down. I was like, context, right? Context.
I can't see. I get excited when I want to do shit. But yeah, so that's how we came up with that. And that's what we're going to go over today, our top 5 list and that are not skippable. That with no skips.
I want to make a quick distinction. This is not a list of my favorite albums of all time.
Correct.
That's a completely different list.
Correct.
There might be a couple same hits here, but that's a different list. This is specifically albums we can listen to without skipping any songs.
Like going on a road trip, let me put these 5 albums in, and I won't have to skip.
And you might say to yourself, hey, if you don't skip any tracks, how is that not one of your favorite albums of all time? Well, sir, that could be one of your or madam, that could be your favorite albums of all time, but that's just not how my brain works with music. So yeah, these are...
Think of us as Rob Gordon from High Fidelity.
Yeah.
We like to make our top 5 list. five list for a funeral. Top 5 list for a
breakup
birthday songs, breakup songs. Top 5 favorite soundtracks.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is.
But yeah, that's how we work.
Spoilers. A soundtrack is in my top 20. But I won't go into it because it's lower on the list than the top 20. It's not in the top 5.
I didn't put a soundtrack in because I wasn't sure if that was considered cheating.
This one is well, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to just bring it up. So the soundtrack that's in my top 20 is the official soundtrack to Hedwig and the Angry Inch. So it's all original music written specifically for the movie. It's an hour stage performance because it's a musical. But the reason why I left it at 20 and didn't, because it would be a lot higher on the list. But again, I make concessions. I was like, it's a soundtrack that's kind of cheating. But then I realized, well, no, this is all original written music specifically for it. So it's not like a licensed soundtrack of 20 bangers.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So kind of like what's his name? 9 Inch Nails guy.
Trent Reznor.
And Chris Ross and the Social Network.
Right. If you wanted to put the soundtrack
all that was made for that movie.
Well, the score was their licensed music on the soundtrack because this is actual soundtrack. It's not just the score.
Oh yeah, the entire score was for the movie.
Yeah. But like, yeah, it would be easy for me to say like, one of my favorite soundtracks to listen to is the fucking Scream soundtrack. I love that soundtrack. But it's a bunch of licensed music that was made for other things. That just happens to be a compilation on a CD.
I put some soundtracks on there. I'm like, oh no, that's cheating. I can't do that. But I'll tell you what those are if you want.
Yeah. What were the soundtracks?
So these are like honorable-ish mentions.
Yeah.
So my soundtracks were...
Can't Hardly Wait.
Actually, no. That's a good one, but no.
Empire Records.
Also a good one. No. Mine was because there's other songs, but he did write songs or a song for this movie. He didn't write all of them. But Good Will Hunting soundtrack.
Okay.
Has really great music. Elliott Smith, I think, wrote Say Yes for the movie. I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm a big fan of Elliott Smith. Mr. Depressed Fest, same here. We bond. May he rest in peace. But Good Will Hunting was one of them, and Perks of Being a Wallflower because 90s.
Right.
Best decade.
Yep.
For music.
It is. That's an episode we're doing. Because,
that's going to be an episode because I'm sure people are yelling right now.
And it might be a short one because it's just going to be us justifying why we think that. Like, unless we can find somebody with a differing opinion that wants to come on the show.
Anyone have any kind of rebuttal?
Okay. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Contact down below.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the only one I was like kind of thought I might be cheating. But again, it wasn't licensed music. It was all originally written songs for the show.
Yeah. Because Garden State, although it doesn't hold up movie-wise, it does have a good soundtrack.
Yeah. Fucking the soundtrack to 50/50 is fucking amazing.
Oh my God, 50/50 soundtrack. Yeah.
But it's all licensed music. So like the other one that I was going to put on my list.
Mallrats. Ugh.
Yeah. Clerks
as well.
But yeah, I was going to put South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Oh, that's good.
Because it's a musical, but it's all original. But I didn't do that.
Hedwig was the only one. Tick Boom on there since it's all original.
Technically. But yeah, let's get into our list, dude. You go first this time. Since I went first on our last list episode. Okay.
My number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I had to make sure.
It was a hard fucking decision, man.
Yes.
Too fucking hard.
Like I gotta say, number 10.
Even looking at it right now, I'm like, should I just switch those two?
10 through 1 can be like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. Like they could all be number 1s. So just keep that in mind. For us, this is all subjective.
Yes. Fuck it. I'm gonna stick with what I have.
Yeah, stick with what you got. Don't.
Number 5 is what I use when I work out because it's perfect. 36 minutes and 26 seconds, I believe, for running when I run, and that is Weezer, Pinkerton album.
I knew that was going to be on this list.
Of course it was.
I'm surprised it's 5.
Not higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm a little surprised too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the perfect workout album for me because like it's perfectly like you get your a little more than 30 minutes of cardio with the perfect end song for a cool down, Butterfly.
It's got highs and lows, like good interval style.
Yeah. Like some
Good
songs start like a little low and then starts progressing up high.
Yeah.
And then you get something like Get You, where it's the second song that just pumps you up, you know, and then Good Life, where it starts off with good, you get a good jog, and then it just starts getting harder and harder. But yeah, that's my number 5 because like I listen to that like once I hear any one of those songs, like not going back listening from beginning to end. Anytime I hear any of the songs, Across the Sea, Tired of Sex, which is the first track. Like if I hear that first track, I'm listening to the entire album.
Yep.
Because they're all great. They're all it got its appreciation, you know, after a good while after it.
Yeah, it took some time for people to come around on that one.
Yeah.
Not because they didn't like it and then Weezer got big and then they like it.
It was just a far departure from the Blue Album.
Yeah.
That people got so weird and uncomfortable about. Which you can also say the same thing because after that was the Green Album, which was back to like Blue roots, you know. And then after that, Maladroit came out, which a lot of people didn't like that too because it had the Pinkerton vibe, which I loved Maladroit. Which had a great video for Dope Nose with the puppets, the Muppets.
Yes.
Which I absolutely love. But yeah, that's my number 5 because I can listen to that from start to finish any time of day.
That's awesome, dude. That's a good album. I like that too. I know it gets a lot of love now, but I feel like that's an underrated Weezer album for sure.
There's I'm older now, so like there's so much more music that I've discovered currently. So like that's why it's kind of dropped.
Okay, my number 5 is Pocket Full of Kryptonite by the Spin Doctors.
Oh shit!
Which, you know, it's got their big hit Two Princes that everybody knows, which is fucking fantastic. And if you catch me on Rock Band drinking, I will sing Two Princes poorly. If we do ever do karaoke together, that's a go-to song of mine. But the roots of that band start as like a jam band. I won't say as like fucking unstructured as something like Fish or other jam bands. They're definitely more structured band than that. But starts their roots that way. And so there's a lot of really cool bass lines and a lot of really cool drum riffs on that album. Little Miss Can't Be Wrong was used in
I've heard about that song.
Pauly Shore movie Son-in-Law. They use it in that movie. It's a great song also. Jimmy Olsen's Blues is a really cool,
about that one too.
Really cool song about how Jimmy's in love with Lois Lane and fuck Superman. It's a really cool song. In fact, there was a point where we did a Comic-Con special on our other podcast, Some Shit We Like, where I tried to get in contact with the singer of Spin Doctors, Chris Barron, so we could use Jimmy Olsen's Blues as our music break that episode. But
God, I forgot we had music breaks.
We stopped doing that.
Yeah, we stopped doing that.
But I actually ended up having emails with Chris Barron's manager, where he was like, "Oh, you know, blah 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 record label still owns the rights to that." And I was like, "Yeah, we're just a small podcast. It's, there's no ads. We're not making any money off of it." And he goes, if it were up to me, I would say use it, but it's not. I'll give you the email address for PR for the record label. Never heard back from the record label, but I kept in contact with Chris Barron's manager, and he was like, I told Chris that you wanted to use Jimmy Olsen's Blues for like a podcast where you guys were talking about Comic-Con. He thought that was so cool. And he said, tell them they can use anything off my solo album and not worry about it. And that's why we use that song off of his EP. It's like Songs for the Summer of Sangria is the name of the EP. And I don't remember the song we used, but it was really good. I'm a big fan of Chris Barron. I love his voice. 90s band, Spin Doctors. But that album is that I'm so glad that this album stayed in that top 5 because I wanted to bring that story up from an old podcast because
I totally forgot that we would play music and we would reach out to the artist because we wanted to make sure it was okay. We wanted to credit where credit's due.
Yep.
And yeah, there was some interactions where, for the most of the part, like most of the music I looked for was like indie small bands.
Right.
So like that was no problem. But yeah, I remember when you tried to reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that until you just mentioned it now. I do remember that interaction.
Fun times, good stories. I talked to a couple of bands, agents and PR people that were really fucking nice. Sometimes we couldn't use their songs, sometimes we could. But yeah, it was really cool. And we were, tens of people were listening to us back then also. So we could have just used it and not fucking cared because we weren't posting anything on YouTube at the time. This was literally just an audio podcast in an audio feed, whether it was iTunes or whatever. We could
also there was like no algorithm to check to see if there was copyrighted music.
And we could have fucking got away with it.
We could have got away with it.
But Rick and I are very, as you'll gather from this episode, we're very big, passionate about music.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to just use a song without having to talk to somebody. And Rick was the same way. So when we would reach out for songs and stuff, for the most part, we would use independent bands that self-published an album. Or or bands that were completely broken up, so it wouldn't even matter anymore. But in the cases where there were bands that were together, we would try and talk to reach out and get okays. And I just remember thinking it was so cool that his agent
actually came back to you. Was like,
"Oh, Chris, some podcasts wanted to use this song," and he was like, "No way, that's cool. Tell them they can use whatever they want off my album." And I was like, "Hell yeah!" So. That was pretty fun, and I love that album. It's got so many good tracks on it, and it's again other than the hits, whether it be Jimmy Olsen Blues, Pocket Full of Kryptonite, and or not Pocket Full of Kryptonite, Jimmy Olsen Blues, Little Miss Can't Be Wrong, and Two Princes. Other than that, those are very poppy rock songs. But the rest of the album does have like a jam kind of feel to it, and like a mellow, almost jazz vibe to it. It's such a good album, and if you guys haven't listened to it, or I'm sure you know Two Princes.
Yeah, everybody knows that one.
So they did a whole fucking episode of the Sarah Silverman show around that, which was hilarious. I hated that show, but that episode was funny. But yeah, check it out. Pocket Full of Kryptonite by the Spin Doctors.
That was good. That's a good pull. I totally forgot about that. Like when we did music on the podcast. Yeah.
I loved doing music breaks on the old podcast. Not because we actually needed a break, but the way we had the show segmented back then, it just made sense to have a break. Have a break.
And expose new music to whoever listened.
The tens of people.
Yeah, the tens of people. All right, my number 4 is they're still together now, but it was a fairly recent, to 2011. I have to give credits where credit's due, as Dante says. And thank Ryan for introducing me to this band. Ryan O'Leary, friend of the show, who was on the Batman episode. Mm-hmm. When I first visited him to help out on on his movie The Backseat.
Backseat?
Yes. We were driving. I don't remember where we weren't going to. No, we were definitely not going to Philly. We were going somewhere. That was the second time I visited him. We were driving somewhere, in the New Jersey or New York area. And I remember when we were driving, like how scenic it was, at least for like, I don't know, the back part of New York or wherever it was. And it looked really nice. And then like the song came on. And I was absolutely like, I love this voice. Like this voice is good. It's not great, but I love this voice. And I love the music. I love the different instruments for it. And that is the Front Bottom's self-titled album. The first song I heard from them was what was it? Flashlight. Yeah, it was their first song off the album. Flashlight, just the way it starts. Like I wish I could play it because like it just pumps you up to get like so much, And that
again, we could. Nobody fucking watches, but I get it.
Yeah. I almost hit because I have it right here on Spotify.
That's
not on YouTube.
Don't do that.
Not on YouTube
because that sounds like shit anyway. Like
But yeah, Flashlight, Maps, Mountain, Rhode Island, The Beers, Swimming Pool, Father. I know they're really big right now on TikTok for their song Twin Size Mattress, which is a fantastic song. I love that song. That's off their album, I believe.
I'm glad I don't use TikTok. I hate that.
Don't use it.
I'm not talking about it. Let's go.
But yeah, like I
it.
heard this album, and I've seen him twice now.
Oh, cool, man.
Live, and like they perform like so, like they interact with the fucking audience. They put up a big show, like they have their backdrops, you know, like they have balloons and shit that they put and throw out into the audience. Like it's a fucking party when you see this band live.
Right.
It's so much fun, so interactive. Most of the places I've seen them at were small, like I believe we saw them at the Stone Pony in New Jersey. I could be wrong, but I think I'm wrong on that one. I think we saw the Get Up Kids there. But I did see them like at the House of Blues in San Diego when I went to Comic-Con one time.
Okay.
Because it just happened to work out. And then we saw them. Then I saw it with Ryan, I think twice at the House of Blues. And I'm pretty sure I saw them in New Jersey, but I could be wrong. But yeah, they're energetic, they're fun. But their self-titled album is just so good. They have trumpets. They have not like ska trumpets. Okay, like it sounds weird. You might have to listen to it.
No, it doesn't sound weird.
Okay,
you know me and my music taste.
Yeah.
Come on.
But yeah, the guy's voice kind of reminds me, like there's totally different pitches, but like when I heard them, it kind of reminded me of one of my favorite bands called the Weaker Thans, Canadian band, but more like upbeat pop punkish. Well, not really pop punk, but like indie folky. I don't even call them indie folky. They're a good band.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's my number 4. I like them a lot.
Very cool. I might have to check them out. That sounds very, very interesting. My number 4, which after placing all these, I was like, why is that number 4? That should be like number 2. But it makes sense. And I think you knowing me will totally get why this is number 4 when I finish my list. But it's Black Sails in the Sunset by AFI.
Oh, fucking yeah.
Now
I'm kind of surprised how low it is.
Let's be clear. There's a couple of bands on this list, and AFI is one of them, where if I was an asshole, it could have been 5 AFI albums on this list only. Or another band that's going to come up later, it could have been 5 of their albums, and that's it.
All AFI,
but I
all
forced myself to choose. And for me,
that's a good fucking album.
Black Sails in the Sunset is one of their best albums. I don't think it's my favorite AFI album. Again, like this is not my favorite albums of all time, but I think it's my favorite album of theirs where I don't skip any tracks. I just, man, God Called in Sick Today is one of the coolest fucking, the way that song starts. Just every, it has a vibe. It's of an era. It is their transition from being like, and again, I hate the genreification of music, but I'm going to use genres here because I think shorthand that's what helps people understand what I'm trying to say. This album was their transition from being like the skate punk band, where it was like Very Proud of You and Shut Your Mouth and Open Your Eyes, to the goth punk stuff.
What we know today, kind of.
Yeah, what we knew for about a decade, and now they're completely different.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love when bands do that and can do it well. But this is like the first one where it was more Misfits-esque. This is before All Hallows, or right after All Hallows EP. Like it's one of my favorite albums of theirs, definitely. But it's on this list because of how fast, how heavy everything is, and it also is also on this list because I know I'm in the minority on this, but I love Davey's voice. I love his screaming voice. I love his singing voice. I love what he writes about. I love the content of this era of AFI. And this, to me, if it's Black Sails in the Sunset and I'm Very Proud of You was kind of like this. And, you know, the other albums of this like 5-6 year era of them doing like the goth punk stuff. This is my favorite one of those, and it's just so good. I love that band, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call myself out here, and I'm kind of like a fucking homer for this band, to where I don't think they've ever put out an album that's not good. I don't think they've ever made something that's not fantastic. I genuinely, unabashedly love every album AFI has ever fucking put out. And I know there's a lot of people that fell off after the skate punk era. I know there's a lot of people that fell off after the goth rock stuff. I know there's a lot of people that fell off after the post-punk stuff. And I know there's people that fucking despise what they are now. It's very new wavy, and it's what I love. But I love every iteration of this band, every genre they've crossed over, every evolution, every album, every song. But Black Sails in the Sunset is the one that, if I had to say I could only put one AFI album on, what's it going to be? It's going to be Black Sails in the Sunset.
Yeah. It was a good band for sure.
I fucking love this album, dude. It's so
I saw them at Warped Tour. The first Warped Tour I went to in 2000.
I've never seen AFI. I've seen them I've seen Davey and Jade as Black Audio, the side project.
Oh yeah,
I've seen that, but I've never seen AFI.
Yeah,
which kind of hurts.
Damn,
they're like my second favorite band of all time.
They were really good at the Warped Tour. My number 3. This probably no surprise, but a very good 04 banger of an album. And that is American Idiot.
That didn't even make my top 20. I didn't even make my top 20.
Wow. Wow.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, American Idiot is one I can listen to from top to bottom.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Anytime. It's a fucking rock opera fucking album.
So much so that they made a rock
they actually made
about it.
A Broadway musical about it. When this came out, I still remember to this day when it came out in 04. I was driving in Orange County. I popped it into my CD player in my car, and this was before my box car. I was driving the shitty BMW.
Well, this is before Boxy Brown. I miss Boxy Brown.
Yeah, me too. It was a Scion XB. And I was a big fan of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
And that's such a fucking one-off joke in an episode of Aqua Teen, but you named your car fucking Boxy Brown
so much.
You put it on, driving around.
I put it on, driving around, and I still remember what street I was on. I was on Chapman. Fuck, what was that cross street? Now I guess I don't remember. Chapman and the 55 freeway, basically.
Yeah.
And I remember driving to like, holy fuck. And then I remember like I called my friend Brian at the time, who's a big fan of Green Day. And I called him up like, dude, like this album is so fucking good. I was like, I think 5 songs into it, and I had to call him. And I was like, dude, it's so fucking good. And I was like, right? Like this is like, it's incredible. I'm like, all right. Like I'll call you after I finish it. I'll call you back after I finish it. So then I'm listening to it. So then I played it over and over on my way to work, on my way back home from work. Anytime I was going to go get groceries, like it was on repeat the entire fucking time. We ended up seeing them live. When they went on tour for it. We saw them, I think, in Long Beach. I forgot what the stadium was in Long Beach.
Probably Long Beach Sports Arena. Indoor?
Yeah. It was Long Beach Sports Arena. I think it had to be that. And at the time too, like I kind of went through a still semi-recovering from breakup-ish. I mean, yeah, it was a year after, but if you know me, I feel my feelings pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
And then I remember like me being, as I mentioned in the past episodes, getting overstimulated over sensories and like over to like I had to walk away. Because I was in the pit, I was having fun. I managed to get up to the barricade, so like I was right up there. I saw Billy Joe and everybody. I'm like, all right, I got to get out here. I felt kind of fainty, so like I need water or something. So I got out, and I went out to the sideline, and I'm just telling my core memory of American Idiot. I went out to the sideline, and I got some water. I went to get down. Then he started playing "Wake Me Up When September Ends." And then just hear it echo through the fucking sports arena and into the hallway that I was at. Like, that was just like I still remember vividly of all that. Like, there's some other personal things that I will not mention. It was just a core fucking memory. And I fucking love that album.
It's a great album.
I'm always going to love that album. Like, I'll always listen to it from start to end. Especially with What's Her Name. Yeah. I love that one. I love Novocaine. It's fucking fantastic. That's my number 3.
Suburbia.
Jesus of Suburbia. Oh my God, Jesus of Suburbia. I love playing that on Rock Band. I know it's long, but I love playing it on Rock Band.
Me too.
I love singing it.
So much fun.
Yeah.
It's a great album. That was in the 35 albums that I had written down. But then I was like, and again, so there's one band on this list that has another, and I have a Cheater song. I'll Cheater album, and I'll bring it up later. It's not in my top 5. It's an honorable mention. I'll bring it up later. But when I put that down, and I was like, because that was one of the first ones I wrote down too, and I was like, oh, fucking Dookie by Green Day, and I wrote that down too.
That was hard.
And then I was like, again, to make this list, which one am I going to listen to? And my love for Green Day starts with Dookie, and then going back and listening to stuff before that, and then again being one of those guys that just likes everything that they've put out except for their last album, because it was lazy. The one we talked about, the last thing we recorded before pandemic.
They've come out with another album after.
Oh, have they?
Haven't they?
I don't know.
I think they have.
I gave up after that one.
Okay.
But yeah, so it just didn't make the cut into the top 20. But and the other thing I wanted to bring up, and I picked up my phone like an asshole because I couldn't remember that album title, and then I remembered it and put my phone down. American Idiot by Green Day and Empire Strikes First by Bad Religion came out the same year and like around the same time. And I remember listening to those two albums like back to back all the fucking time. They're so good. But anyway, back to my list, and we are on number 3 is a band that only had one album, and it's because that the lead singer was in another band before it. But it's Scenic by Denver Harbor. And if you don't know, Denver Harbor was the band that started after Phoenix TX broke up, which is one of my favorite bands of all time. So that's why there's a cheater. My number 6 album is the self-titled Phoenix TX album. But that's a different band than Denver Harbor. So that's why I justify having 2 in the top 10.
Okay,
It's cheating. It's cheating a little bit. But it was the band Will and Chris started after Phoenix TX broke up. And I remember that came out in 2006. No, that came out 2004 also. So yeah, it was the year I got married. It came out in 2004 also. And there's a song on that album that if I would have heard before we had to submit our list to the DJ for the wedding, that would have been the song we danced to. But it came out after we submitted our list, so I couldn't fucking put it on there. And there's an amazing acoustic version. Anyway, listen, Scenic by Denver Harbor is a fantastic pop punk style album. It's very similar to anything that Phoenix TX put out. A little bit more grown up, a little bit more cerebral. And when you listen to that album from front to back, with the exception of maybe Xenophobia, which is the first track on the album, every other song on that album sounds like he's talking about Phoenix TX, because they're all kind of like in his feelings about things. And it's like, man, this could be about the breakup. And the next song, like, oh man, this could be a song about the breakup of Phoenix TX. It's definitely, it's a more polished sound than Phoenix TX. Again, lyrically, it's a little bit more cerebral, a little deeper.
She gotta love.
Yeah, and I love that album, dude. And Picture Perfect Wannabe is one of the coolest songs, which is basically shit talking the formulaic nature of making rock songs and getting popular on the radio. It's very, very good. Way Back Home is the one I'm talking about. That could have been my wife and I's first dance song at our wedding if we had heard this album before. She agrees too. But yeah, it's such a great album. And if you've never heard of Denver Harbor or Phoenix TX, go check them out because they're fucking fantastic.
I'll check it out, actually. Yeah, because I mean, I like Phoenix TX for the most part, but I'll definitely check it out. You said like it was a one album thing, and you reminded me of a one album that I could actually listen to from start to finish.
Oh yeah?
So it's not going to be it's not on my list,
Not
but
on your list?
I'll call it my honorable mention. But One Time Angels. No one's gonna. I sound like a fucking pretentious asshole. No one's gonna know who they are unless they're like really into like the East Bay music.
Right.
But yeah, One Time Angels is they were on Billy Joe's record label, Adeline, I think it was called.
Okay.
But yeah, One Time Angels has like this great, like, it's not pop punk, but it has that feel. Like I wish like we could probably play the music because like they've been gone for so fucking long, and they're not even on Spotify or anything like that.
I kind of want to track down that acoustic version of All I Want so you could put it, but I won't. Because that's the song off this Denver Harbor album that we almost use is All I Want. It's fucking so good. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, One Time Angels, I'm not gonna look it up. Maybe I'll put it in here. But One Time Angels, from start to finish, like that fucking album, it's good. Like it's quick, it's fast, it's I don't know, I love it a lot. But anyway, that's an album.
Okay. All right. So what's your number 2?
My number 2.
Ooh, we're getting down to the nitty gritty, my guy.
All right. This one, fairly recent, 2017.
Okay.
This album came out when I was feeling like shit. I associate music and feelings. That's just kind of how I am. Places I was at, when I've heard it, like I mentioned with Green Day.
Again, we always say, just like High Fidelity.
Just like
we
High
had
Fidelity.
a record collection, we would put it in autobiographical order.
Exactly. But yeah, this was when I finally decided to reach out for help. So if you ever need help, go get the help you need. It is very important. I'm not one to ever reach out. So this was like the first time, and this album helped me a lot through that time. And that is Paramore's Afterlaughter, which, funny enough, a lot of it is mostly about like her ex and the breakup and all that too. But there's just something soothing about listening to someone you can relate to, you know, just like their lyrics and I feel like
that's from 2017.
2017, yeah.
I was already. I won't say done with Paramore, but I was kind of over Paramore by then.
Yeah, I know.
They're a great band, though. I'm not gonna say they're not.
Yeah, but this album is just so different from anything else they've ever put out. It's very 80s synth, like mixed bag of music. It's an evolution of Paramore. You know, even their music videos look very 80s too. And even one of the videos basically shot in like I think it was, or some of it might be shot in like standard, 4:3, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, there's just so many good songs of this album, and I just connected with it so much.
I don't think I know do I know anything off that album?
It was Hard Times, Rose Colored Boy, Forgiveness, Told You So, Fake Happy, which is one of my favorite.
Okay. I'm gonna have to give it. I've been recently going back and giving bands that I got over a shot again.
I feel like this would be your album too, since it's very 80s inspired.
Yeah,
with synth and guitars.
Yeah,
in a sense. But yeah, some of my favorite, like the whole thing is fucking great. But like, Fake Happy is my favorite music video, as well as my favorite song off the album, because it talks about trying hard to show that presence of happiness when really you're fucking dying like inside, and you can't get through your fucking day. But yeah, this album fucking revitalized me, and it was very helpful during the times that I needed help. That's my number 2. It was I like, it was hard to pick. Like that's really like my tie with my number 1, honestly.
Right.
But
I'm on
so
the same way with my
hard,
number
man.
1.
It's so fucking hard.
Yeah. All right. So now for something completely fucking different. My first album was a pop rock album / jam band album. Then we had AFI with, like, this is what I like about my list. It's everything is completely fucking different, right? Then we had AFI, which was like the goth punk stuff, Misfit style sound music. We have Denver Harbor, which is traditional style pop punk. Now we got number 2. Number 2 is a country album. When I say the album, you're gonna go, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's No Fences by Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Now it's Friends in Low Places. That's Mr. Blue. That's Thunder Rolls. That's banger after banger after. Every fucking song is like a radio hit on that album. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, but it's also one that I'm going to get autobiographical again here. It reminds me of a very specific time in my life. Was not great. I was, a young kid. We had just moved to Colorado from out here from California, and I fucking hated it. But this album had come out around that time, and this was like even though there's a lot of downer songs on it, and it's a country album. I know people hate country. Not me. I like everything, and I don't ever say I like everything but this or but that. Rick knows me. Rick will tell you, I like every genre of music. There's something for me in every genre of music that's ever been fucking made. I can find something I like.
Oh yeah.
And this album is one of those ones that sticks with me a lot, and it reminds me of Christmas of 1992. And so every winter I listen to this album. It's one of those things. We talked about doing this before pandemic and stuff. It's like albums or things that remind you of Christmas that aren't Christmas.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
This is one. This is a Christmas album that has nothing to fucking do with Christmas for me. But yeah, I rattled off some of them. Friends in Low Places. Who doesn't know that song? The Thunder Rolls. Who doesn't know that song? These are some of the biggest songs of their era. But then again, it also has really awesome covers of an old school like crooner song by the Fleetwoods called Mr. Blue that he totally makes his own, and it's fucking fantastic. One of my favorite songs of all time. But yeah, this album is good, and if you're not a fan of country, and I don't expect you to go to listen to this, but keep in mind there was a time during the late 80s, early 90s where Garth Brooks had transcended country music and was considered a pop act because his music was fucking everywhere. If you've ever been to a bar of any reputable bar that is worth anything, you have heard Friends in Low Places. It's a fantastic song. So No Fences by Garth Brooks. Everybody go out. And if I could, I'm going to send Rick a picture.
Do it.
If I could ever look half as fucking cool as Garth looks on the cover of this record, I'd be happy. But there you go. No Fences by Garth Brooks.
My number one would be No Surprise. Maybe? I don't know. Because I do talk about this band a lot. I give credit where credit's due, and I originally hated this fucking band. I thought the voice was annoying. I thought, like, what the fuck is this shit? It's one of those things where, like, you listen to something, I'm like, God, this is awful, but I want to listen to it one more time. Like, what the, like, who's, like, it was just, okay.
Yeah.
That's just the way they was when I first heard of them.
Okay.
I got told about this from a girlfriend. She played it when we were driving around, whatever. And I kept hearing it. And like, this was like one of her favorite bands. But yeah, she was playing it over and over to the point where it fucking hooked me. And it got me. I was like, I got to hear it now. And then I ended up buying the album like 3 fucking times because I overplayed it. And that is the Weaker Thans, Left and Leaving.
So wait, I had no idea that you started out not liking them.
Yeah, I didn't like them.
Because again, I mean, I've known you since like 2004, 2005-ish. Or yeah, 2005-ish. Yeah. And you've always, as far as I know, you've always loved this band.
Yeah, the Weaker Thans, a Canadian band from Winnipeg. Left and Leaving is their second album. Their first album is self-titled, obviously. But yeah, this band, I did not like them at first. She would play them all the time, and I just like, oh, it's too annoying. What is that song? What is that song?
Yeah. Like, what song was that? Yeah. This fucking sucks.
But
what song is that? What's the name of it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was the impact that she left on me. First girlfriend too, by the way. That was the impact. That was what she left with me, I guess. Left and leaving.
See what you did there.
Hope she's well. But yeah, Everything Must Go. Great start to it. Very you mentioned like your country, was your number one. This is very folky.
2. I still have my number 1 left. That was my number 2.
Oh, that was number 2. Oh, okay. Well,
but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But yeah, this is going into like more folky music with the Weaker Thans. They're very folky. Yeah, everything. One of my favorite songs off the album is Exiles Among You, which is about a person leaving their hometown, doing what they want to do, return to their hometown, and just kind of seeing like how everything has changed.
Right.
Cracked streets. One of my favorite lyrics in that song is, the sidewalk is watching me think about you, sparkled with broken glass. I just think that's such a beautiful fucking line in a song. Fucking love that line. Like, yeah. But yeah, that's my number one. They'll always be my favorite. Fortunately, they broke up, no longer together.
Yeah.
Should have flew to fucking Canada when they were playing their self-titled and this album back to back.
Oh wow.
Yeah, day one was their first album, day two was their second album.
That's nuts, dude.
And yeah, because those two albums are like their most popular albums. Right. And I don't have many regrets in life, but that's musically that is a regret I have.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's how I feel about not ever seeing AFI live.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Exactly. So
still have chances to, but I know they're not going to do a lot of the songs I want to hear anymore.
Yeah. Real quick though, it's not on this album, but he does. He wrote a song through the perspective of his cat. It's called "Plea from a Cat Named Virtue." Check it out. It's just it's a sweet song. Well, sort of sweet. I say sort of sweet because it's basically his cat watching him and telling him to get out more because he's stuck inside and lonely.
I don't know why I'm picking up my phone. I don't just pick up my phone for my number one.
What's your number one, dude?
My number one is not going to fucking shock anybody that knows me. But my number one favorite album that I can listen to without skipping anything on it is Deep Shadows and Brilliant Highlights by him.
Yeah, not surprised. I was like, I haven't heard him yet. I'm assuming that's his number one.
It is. And again, like I said earlier about AFI, if I'm being a fucking asshole, this is a list of 5 him albums with 5 honorable mentions that are all him albums. But I wanted to force myself to choose. And you know how I like doing that. I make myself make these decisions.
Yes.
That's why I love making lists.
Yeah, it was hard to choose between those two because those, yeah.
Yeah. Him is my favorite band of all time. They, starting around 2002-ish, they completely kicked AFI out of the number one spot and have been my favorite band since. And they're another band that no matter what album they have put out, what albums, what music they've put out, I unabashedly love it. Do I have criticisms of some albums and criticisms of some production or sound or whatever? Yeah. Of course I do. Of course I do. I'm a fucking fan of them. Of course there's stuff that they do that I'm like, this could have been way better. Yeah. But I will never ever say, I don't like that album, or fuck this album. Like, there's one album that I didn't initially like when it came out that I've come around on now that I actually really enjoy. But yeah, Deep Shadows and Brilliant Highlights. It has some of the coolest riffs. And I love the genre bending they do with music. It's heavy, but it's sort of emo-y. Like they're all love songs, but they're all heavy or melancholy sounding. Like it's just it's so good. And my favorite hymn song of all time is on this album, and that song is called "In Love and Lonely," which is an amazing song title, right? In Love and Lonely.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking great song and
poetic.
It's everything is relationship based or how a person can make you feel.
I gotta listen to this album.
It's so good, man. Please Don't Let It Go is a great song. Beautiful is a great song. It's very mellow and down. The one, I won't even say the one track that I consider skipping but the one track I know that people won't really like is For You, which is the last track on the album. It's fucking fantastic though. It's very down. It's but yeah, Please Don't Let It Go. Like I said, In Love and Lonely is fucking fantastic. Everything on this album is good. And it is, I always try and tell people, like, a lot of people, again, genreification of music. They created their own fucking genre because there was no way to classify them, and they call it love metal. That's the name of the song. The name of the genre. But the way when I first tried to get you to listen to them, the way I described them, and I know you're not like a big heavy metal fan or anything like that, but the way I described them to you, I was like, dude, it's like Billy Idol meets Metallica, and Metallica is way more accessible metal than anything else. Vocally, he's got that kind of Billy Idol deep voice thing going, but he also hits spectacular high notes. That band, again, they're my favorite band of all time. They will never not be my favorite band of all. I feel, as a 40-year-old man, I feel confident in saying that there's no other band that's going to come around or I hear for the first time that's ever going to knock them out of the number one spot of being my favorite band of all time. I have a fucking hymn tattoo on my body.
Oh, that is true.
It's But yeah, Deep Shadows and Brilliant Highlights is such a fantastic album. And I could sit here and go on about every song on the album and tell you every lyric to every song on the album, but I'm not going to do that. I want you guys to go and listen to it with an open mind. Go listen to it. It's so good from front to back.
I gotta listen to it. Yeah, metal's really hard for me.
Yeah. And again, it's not metal. It's heavier.
Yeah. I do like his voice though. Like some of the songs that I have heard that you introduced me to, like the voice, I like his voice. It's soothing. And well, for the songs that I did hear.
Yeah.
I don't know how crazy metal he is when he gets into it. Like there's just some like cause like Metallica, like you know this, I'm not a Metallica fan.
Right. But the reason I use that as a reference is because they are a heavier band that's very accessible for people. It's very easy to pick up a Metallica album even if you don't like heavy metal. And I really feel like there's a lot of riffs, guitar riffs in him music that are very like reminiscent of Metallica style riffs. They're not as loud or as heavy or whatever you'd want to say, but it's definitely like closer to that side than anything else. But yeah, man, it's great stuff, dude. It's great stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing about us. Like we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll listen to it. Like, you know, if we like it, we like it. We don't, you know, we don't. And that's kind of how I try to approach it when listening to new music. I feel like this year I definitely discovered some new music, mainly because I'm emo Midwest music. Mm-hmm. Like I recently, and they were on my Spotify top list or whatever, was Hot Mulligan. Very Midwest emo band. They're not on my list because I'm still new to them, obviously. Right. I still haven't heard all their albums in its entirety, but Hot Mulligan is definitely one of them. Mom Jeans, I think could have been, and like, cause, I don't remember the name of the album. Was definitely one that I listened to from start to end. Oh man, this could have been. No, I don't think I could have put it in my top 5. But Tiger Jaw.
Okay.
Fuck, what's the name of the album? But that this album I'm thinking of specifically could have definitely been in my list, but I'm content with what I have. Fucking Tiger Jaw. What was the album called? It came out in 2008. I guess it's their self-titled. Oh, I guess it's the self-titled album. Like they have The Sun, Plane versus Tanks versus Submarines. Mm-hmm. Like this was something that I discovered through my friend Kale. Was Tiger Jaw. Like this kind of like with Ryan and listening to the Front Bottoms. Yeah. When I heard this, like this, I've heard this at also another specific moment during a sort of down situational type thing. Like it was just emo enough for me to get through what I needed to get through. Yeah. You know? Yeah. But yeah, another, like he almost kind of has a voice of the Weaker Thans, which is why I kind of wouldn't like. I would kind of see to put Tiger Jaw on this list, but I could put that at my number 6. I don't know where I was going with this.
Real quick, I gotta correct a mistake I just made on the Him album. It's the last song is "Love You Like I Do," not "For You." "For You" is off Love Metal. I was like, wait, that didn't sound right. I need to fix it. So. If anybody hears this, like, you fucking don't know. No, I know. I confused the titles.
Like things like new music that haven't really that haven't made the list. But like Tiger Joe would definitely make the list.
New music, huh? Fuck, I can't. I don't think there's anything that's come out like the last decade that has really resonated with me.
Well, I'm not the recently came out, but just like recently discovered, because that album came out in 2008, so like that was kind of just like a recent discovery. And then my friend Kale puts out the best fucking playlist of all kinds of different genres. Right. Like that's how we kind of connected, was through music too as well.
That's awesome, man.
Because they put out playlists too. Playlists can have like some, emo, and then like jump to like something like Crystal Castles, which is totally opposite of that, which is kind of like with you, how you kind of have that same genre. I mean, look at, you got Garth Brooks, and then you got him, and
there was almost hip hop rap albums on this list, on the top 5.
I was kind of surprised it wasn't like a hip hop or rap album on your list.
There's some close contenders, but I just couldn't see putting them above the ones I put them up.
Before we wrap this up, I have an idea.
Okay.
I've already did this, but I want to see if you want to do this.
Okay.
If you go to my link tree, my personal link tree, I have all my socials and whatever there. But I also have my Spotify playlist on there called Get to Know Me, which is a bunch of songs from I would call it maybe from like 95, 97 to pretty much current playlist in autobiographical order.
Ooh, okay. So I'll have to do that with Amazon Music. I'll have to see if I can make
Oh, right. You got Amazon Music. I don't know if that's something you want to attempt.
That'd be, see, if that was something I was already doing, but it's, you know me, it seems really,
it took me a long time.
It seems really daunting to even think about starting to do that and to put it in quote autobiographical order. That's almost like that one idea I had to do, which I still kind of want to do, but I think it's changed a little bit, is describe yourself with 5 movies.
Oh yeah, I remember you.
Not movies that you love, not movies that you think are good.
That would cancellate your personality.
Describe yourself with 5 movies.
Dude, I could do that with 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
But that is also difficult to do. I'll have to do that. But anyways, yeah, I started that playlist a long time ago.
Yeah.
But that would be, if you want to check it out, I'll put the link down below.
I'll have to start maybe putting something together like that, because I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That was my Rob Gordon moment where I wanted
to get to know me. That's pretty cool.
Just put
That's a cool idea, man.
Yeah. So it's about, I think it's like 5 or 6 hours long.
Yeah. I mean, shit, if you look at this list of my top 20 albums that we were just talking about, we only went through 5. I think that's a good get to know me on, like,
that's definitely
genres and styles.
These
and
albums
bands.
are
Yeah, man. There's some stuff on here. There is some stuff on here that you would either think is on here or stuff that you're like, wow, really that? Yeah. So,
anyways, that's an idea.
Cool.
But that's gonna be it for us today. I hope you liked this episode, because we definitely love talking about music and making lists. It drives us. But thanks for sticking around. As you can see here, we are back. So if you have any ideas for episodes, let us know in the comments. Hit us up on social media. All the links and shit are down below. So let us know. We also like to thank our person who created the music for us.
No Taxes, Nigel Bravo, Stoat Krow Komedy, Crow with a K, Comedy with a K. Look it up on Bandcamp and Twitch. Nigel's an awesome dude, and he allows us to use this awesome music. Yeah, and he has bunch of different music there that will be perfect for your stream or podcast or whatever it may be. So thanks for sticking around. We will be back.